In maintaining a mandate to promote the literary arts of the Virgin Islands, the Department of Culture continues to collaborate with the local authors by way of offering assistance in launching their books through official book launching ceremonies. Today, the Department of Culture collaborates with author Mrs. Mitzi Ellis-Simpson to promote the book Secret Code British Virgin Islands, a book that offers an exclusive glimpse into the Virgin Islands' triumph, struggles, resilience, and exploration. For the Department of Information and Public Relations and the Ministry of Education and Culture, I am your GIS host, Bria Smith. And on this program, Director of Culture, Mrs. Luz Hodge-Smith, and author Mrs. Mitzi Ellis-Simpson join me to discuss the highly anticipated launch of the book, Secret Code British Virgin Islands, set to be launched on Tuesday, June 20th at the Old Government House Museum at 5:30 p.m. Welcome, Mrs. Hodge-Smith. Welcome, Mrs. Ellis-Simpson.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to start the questions off with Mrs. Hodge-Smith today, and I'm going to ask you, what is the primary, I know the primary responsibility of the department is to preserve Virgin Islands culture and heritage, but how does the department do so, especially with assisting book launches such as this book, Secret Code British Virgin Islands?
Well, thank you, Bria, for that question. Basically what it is the department is helping the author in promoting their book once it's published. And we've been doing this for quite some time now, as you know, in helping them to launch it by assisting them with staging or coordinating the book launch ceremony, or either assisting them or actually organizing it for the author. In addition to that, what we do is get the word out that this book is available. It's a new author has produced a book or published a book, or an established author has also produced a book or published a book. And what we're doing is, and again, it may not necessarily be about Virgin Islands history and culture, although we are very happy when we see a book that is helping us to preserve and get the word out and educating about Virgin Islands culture and history. Or it could be any other genre in terms of writing. But basically, it's to help the author. And in addition to that, we welcome it because it's helping to develop and establish and further grow our literary arts. So without the authors, our literary arts die. So the onus is on us to support in any way that we possibly can, and this is one way in which we're doing it.
And this has been a success. You've had a lot of book launch ceremonies thus far. So it makes me wonder, what do you consider now, after you've already assisted with so many books already, what do you consider a good story, or what makes a good story for persons to come and try and publish a book?
Okay. Well, it's up to the individual, and there are lots of stories out there still to be written and still to be told, especially if it's coming from a personal point of view. For example, we were to have a book launched by Doris Carmona, and she's written stories that were told to her by her grandparents. So we're going to launch that soon. We should have launched it last week, but unfortunately we've had to reschedule. But just something like that, stories that have been told to you by your grandparents, or some research that you've done from a course. For example, the Virgin Islands Studies program at the college. As a student, maybe there's something that you found out that you can dig a little deeper and do some more further research on it, and bring out a book about it. And at this moment, I think it may be a bit premature, but just to share an idea that we have at the Department of Culture, we get a lot of questions from students that are doing research and for their assignments at school. And the questions vary. And sometimes we don't have the information on hand, so we have to direct them to someone that can tell them about this. So what we have come up with is we're going to be producing in a little while a series of mini books about our history and about our culture. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be asking the local authors to help us with the research on these little mini books, and then we're going to get the artists to do the illustrations for us. So this is a project that we're working on, and it'll be simple things like a little mini book about how to make the coal. How is the coal produced? We see the coal pit, but what wood or tree or whatever branch that you use to make this coal, we know we have to dig it in a pit. So it's step by step how it's done. Things that we folk life, things that we've done in the past that we don't necessarily do anymore, but these children have to research it. For example, the wakes. Why was the wake back then important? What were the songs that were sung? What was the significance of the wake? So we gave the story behind that. And then this year, what we did is featuring Jumbi stories for International Museum Day. Jumbi stories, real life happening Jumbi stories that persons can talk about, and they've actually seen a spirit or a Jumbi. But, just folk life. And it's a series, and we're going to be talking about different things. We have done a video on the making of the cassava bread, so we can put it step by step, the making of the cassava bread. But then, in addition to not just making the cassava bread, but the variation of the cassava bread. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to be looking at, and we will be calling upon local authors such as Mitsy to help us to do the research, put the book together, get the artists to do the illustrations for us, and hopefully we'll see how that goes. So we'll be calling on the local authors.
So how can local authors or aspiring authors reach out to the department to seek the assistance?
Well, it's very simple, an email or a phone call. And normally, like I said before, the book is already published. Sometimes it's already on Amazon, and they just want to get the word out locally. So normally the author will give us a call, we meet and we discuss, and they share with us the book so we can get an idea of what it's about. And we go from there. We decide and discuss who's going to take care of what and who's going to do what. We decide on a date of the launch, and we get the word out and work on all the logistics. It's very simple. The hard part is to write the book. We have the easy part.
So now I'm going to shift the focus to our author, Mrs. Ellis-Simpson. I want you to share with our audience a bit about yourself. Tell us about you.
Certainly. I started my first business about 12 years ago, Paradise Realty Limited, while I was working in the BVI financial services industry in the areas of trust and corporate administration. I've always been fascinated about real estate, and about when I was 19 years old, I purchased my first piece of property, and by the time I was 24, I had my own home. An opportunity came up where I relocated to Hong Kong, and while I was there, I briefly worked in the real estate industry, and I also work as a financial consultant. And while I was there as well, I also obtained a master's degree in finance. Since I came back to the BVI about 6 years ago, I am now the managing director for Paradise Realty Limited, and I also own Starworks Nail Salon, and I also operate a corporate research and consultancy firm, MJS and Associates.
How long have you been writing?
I would say perhaps about 10 years ago, like seriously writing. The first piece I ever wrote was a children's book, an illustrated children's book while I was in Hong Kong. My daughter benefits from that. I didn't publish it, but that was my first aim at trying, to write seriously. And then with my academic background, having done the master's program in finance, we had to do a lot of research on world markets. And I know we've done a paper on the gold, platinum, and silver empirical analysis. I've done that paper, and it actually won me an academic award on that paper. And since I came back to the BVI, I also started a publication called the Virgin Islands Real Estate Book. And from there, I been writing articles on various aspects of the British Virgin Islands. And, you know, one of the articles that I wrote was about the Freebooters Gangway. It's better known to us as the Sir Francis Drake Channel. And from there, you know, I started doing my research and Secret Code next.
I know your book, Secret Code, British Virgin Islands, it covers a wide variety of Virgin Islands history and facts. What inspired you to write or to research on those topics?
Well, it's a combination of different things. It has a lot to do with how my life shaped, you know, in terms of my career path and my academic background. You know, having had to do various research paper while I was doing my finance degree, and having now working in the real estate industry. And what you find, you know, even though somebody may want to purchase or rent a property, somebody relocating, you find that they do have interest in knowing more about the BVI. And then my job goes far beyond just selling or renting properties. That's one aspect of it. And then, of course, I do like to research. It's a personal decision as well. You know, I'm inspired by other countries, and when I do travel, I don't want to do the touristy things. You know, I prefer to walk downtown, you know, and see what's happening, and just pick up various country books. And so I think my life was just shaped in that form, and it's something that I knew I had to do.
Can you take us through the creative process? Like, for instance, how did you come up with the title, Secret Code of the British Virgin Islands?
Okay, well, as I said, you know, having been traveling and just looking at how other countries present themselves and working here in the market as an entrepreneur in different areas, you know, I kind of like find it was necessary to, you know, just have a real country book and put an economic twist on it, you know, that could benefit both the local market and the international market. So the name Secret Code, when I started my manuscript, I actually titled it A Prosperous Paradise. You know, yes, I did. And then I changed it to A Mighty Little Giant. Right, yeah, and perhaps maybe about 80% through my manuscript, I realized where I was going with it, you know, and I developed my thesis, and my thesis, mankind has been center stage to the struggles, triumph, wealth, ambition of the British Virgin Islands. So everything that we do, and every chapter that I created, you know, it had a lot to do with us, you know, and what we get out. And so the secret aspect of Secret Code, then you have the financial services where the international world might think we have some kind of protected secrecy down here, mm-hmm. you know, and then you also have tourism, which is dubbed Natures of the Secret. So, you know, it was only fitting to do secret. Mm-hmm. And then the code is about like me revealing our secrets, you know, in terms of, you know, what we are about, you know, our national identity, our governance, various aspects, the things that make us unique as, you know, a Virgin Island.
Were there anything surprising that you learned when creating or researching about the book?
Because I grew up here, a lot of the information you knew, you know, and you have to do a lot of research otherwise, you know. But surprisingly, perhaps I would say, drawing a Virgin Island sloop, you know, I found that was very challenging, and it actually took me a month to really settle on what it should really look like. It's not an easy task, you know, in terms of the moon shape of the sloop and, you know, the uniqueness, it not having something like a bowsprit, you know, the stern, things like that, you know. I used to have to like send it back to the drawing board. No, that's not how it looks, because I wanted to go through the process and you know, see how unique the vessel is. And you know, I eventually did it. And so the Virgin Island sloop that you see in the book, it's an original.
What do you hope for persons to take away after they read your book, both locally and internationally? What do you hope they take away with them after they've read Secret Code?
Right. Well, I want persons to realize that we are more than just sun, fun, sea and sand. We're like any other country that, has, triumphs, struggles, wealth. We have it all. And as a people, you see, we are, aiming to develop our country, be the best we can in our country. And I want persons to have like a really fantastic, good perception and understand and respect what we're all about. In moving forward as a country.
Where can persons purchase your book, and how much is it?
Well, the book is a basic price, $49. I'm sure certain gift shops may want to sell it for more. But after the book launch, persons should be able to obtain the book at Right Way in Passia, Arawak Bookstore. It's more than a bookstore. Bookstores throughout the BVI, such as Serendipity, National Education. It should be at the airport. It should be in Virgin Gorda, at the Old Yards Inn. So various places, and of course, definitely, it will be in our public libraries, for persons.
Well, I noticed on the book, on the cover itself, it says the first edition. So I'm quite sure there will be numerous editions to come. So what can we look forward to from you as an author?
Well, absolutely. I do plan to update the book every 3 to 4 years. Perhaps I'll add another chapter or two. We'll see how that goes, but that's my intention to continuously update the book 3 to 4 years. So yes, it's a history book, economic history book, but I would like for it to be kept current.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ellis-Simpson, and congratulations on this book. I think it's a phenomenal book, and I do hope that everyone, locally and internationally, get their hands on it and be able to appreciate all that you've researched on these beautiful Virgin Islands.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you very much. And it's also on Amazon, and has been, it's been selling on Amazon already.
Yes, nice. Before we close, Mrs. Hodge-Smith, I just wanted to find out, what can we look forward to from the Department of Culture?
Okay, Bria, thank you. Well, we do have another book launch ceremony on the 29th of June. This will be at the Gerald Neal Botanic Gardens. And this one is by a book by Dr. Michael Mitch Kent. And it's going to be talking about the Rhone. And, as we know, the 150th anniversary is coming up in October. So we will have more information about that. We're going to be having a local authors book fair in September 8th actually, which is part of the celebrations by UNESCO for International Literacy Day. So we're going to be having a local authors fair. Not just a fair of having the authors there selling books, but we'll have some readings and some etc., making it very interesting. So we're actually working on that now. So authors should be hearing from us very soon. Hopefully they will come out and be a part of it as well. Other things are coming up. In addition to those, we have our cultural directory, which we have been working on for quite some time, and we're hoping to have that produced and distributed by November. And of course, the cultural directory is similar to the telephone directory, but it's a directory of local, authors or culture bearers, culture workers, persons that bake, musicians, authors, just given the list of information, their email addresses, their telephone numbers, physical addresses, and listing them so that persons can find all our culture workers in the territory.
Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you, Mrs. Ellis-Simpson, Mrs. Hodge-Smith. It has been a pleasure having you both with us.
Thank you. Thanks.
I have been speaking with Director of the Department of Culture, Mrs. Luz Hodge-Smith, and author Mrs. Mitsy Ellis-Simpson on the upcoming book launch for the book, Secret Code, British Virgin Islands, set to be launched on Tuesday, June 20th at the Old Government House Museum at 5:30 p.m. For the Department of Information and Public Relations and the Ministry of Education and Culture, I have been your GIS host, Bria Smith. Remember, for all your official government news and latest updates, visit the government website at www.bvi.gov.vg or follow us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter at BVI Government.